In this video, we'll watch a movie called The Mule. The old man Earl was nearly 80 years old and was a veteran of World War II. He loved growing flowers and had his garden, and his customers were countless. At the same time, he was also the best gardener. He won gold medals in flower cultivation. Earl regarded work as everything and had never cared about his family for many years. He never attended all the important days of his daughter's maturity path. Even his daughter's wedding was less important than his award ceremony. Earl divorced his wife and was hated by his daughter. 12 years later, the internet became booming, letting the old man's physical store business suffer a major blow. He was forced to close it down. Next week was Earl's granddaughter's wedding, so Earl took all the belongings and went home. Granddaughter had no complaints about Grandpa. On the contrary, she was very happy that the man could come to her wedding. But Earl's daughter left as soon as she saw her father. The ex-wife saw the belongings in Earl's car. She knew he had nowhere to go before thinking of going home. The ex-wife hated Earl's careless behavior. The woman can't control her emotions in front of many guests. She sternly accused Earl of not doing his duty as a husband and father. Earl was too embarrassed to stay. Before leaving, a guest chased out and chatted with Earl. During the conversation, the guest learned that the old man had traveled around the country by car all his life and never bought a ticket. There were no violations or accidents. This kind of old driver with a good travel record was exactly what the guest was looking for. The guest saw Earl's current situation. He suggested that he happened to have a friend hiring a driver at a high price. He wanted to help Earl make some money to help his granddaughter have a better wedding. Immediately, Earl found the garage according to the address on the card. The man in the garage gave Earl a cell phone and an address. He told Earl, when you get to the hotel, park your truck. Put the keys in the glove compartment. Your money will be in the glove compartment with the keys. Another guy came and warned him, don't look in that bag. Earl didn't think much about it, just as a driving trip to earn some extra money. To his surprise, these people paid too much. Earl used the money for his granddaughter's wedding. He wanted to fix his relationship with his ex-wife. Even though Earl's caring for his family made his ex-wife less resentful, but the ex-wife still can't let go of the past and can't accept Earl. Earl planned to reopen the shop, but he found that his place was taken back for auction because of tax arrears. For his love of flowers, Earl changed to a new car and got another drive. After redeeming the flower field, Earl came to the Veterans Club for dinner as usual. Unfortunately, the club caught fire in the kitchen. The insurance company refused to pay the money. In desperation, the boss can only choose to close it. Earl had lived here for most of his life. In addition to flower and traveling, his happiest day was to get together with other veterans. To keep old friends from being displaced, Earl intended to deliver goods again to make money. This time there were more goods than before. The shipper told Earl to be careful. This made Earl very curious about what the hell was worth so much money. He parked the car halfway and opened the bag in the car. It was full of drugs, and the position he was holding was called the Mule. At this moment, a police officer suddenly appeared and asked Earl if he needed help. Unfortunately, there was a police dog in the police car. Earl was shocked. He squeezed the medicine down and pretended to pet the waiting dog. Then he took the opportunity to put the ointment on the policeman's nose to confuse his senses. He successfully escaped. As the amount increased, Earl was paid more and more. He funded the reorganization of the Veterans Club to repair the entertainment center of the veterans. The increasing amount had made the big boss interested in Earl. The boss ordered his beard guy to prepare a truckload of goods and personally monitored Earl. They may be able to train Earl into their mule. Beard guy secretly put a monitor in Earl's car. After driving, he stared at Earl's every move. Unexpectedly, Earl did not do anything according to common sense. He walked and played and stopped as long as he wanted. He even didn't follow the route prescribed by the organization. He even rested at night and found a hotel on the roadside. He also swingingly asked two little girls to have a night dance night with him. The bearded guy was very disgusted with Earl's unruly, but the big boss was very satisfied. The boss thought Earl had his style of doing things. This irregular route may be more conducive to concealment. Sure enough, the police should have found the arrangement of the drug cartel. Of a black truck had frequently transported large quantities of drugs in recent times. Hundreds of kilograms. The most transported more than 200 at one time. But because Earl's transportation route changed, the insiders also didn't know where Earl would appear. Therefore, the police can only order people in each area to search for suspicious persons along the road. However, Earl was never found. Earl's name was now resounding in the drug trafficking industry. He repeatedly transported drugs in large quantities, breaking industry records. The big boss saw him as a treasure. He specially hosted a reception for Earl. Soon after, his subordinate betrayed and killed the big boss. After the new boss took office, all the old rules of the old boss were overturned. This ruthless man had long been obsessed with being a boss. He thought that those who did big things must be cruel. The big boss's accommodating approach would soon send the brothers to prison. In the new boss's rules, no one was allowed to disobey. Those who did not follow the rules would be killed without mercy. They pulled Earl into the jungle. The blunt drug cartel had now changed hands. Earl must load and deliver the goods on time. Unauthorized action to change the route was only a dead end. This also provided benefits for the police. According to an insider's report, the shipper would follow requirements tonight. They stayed in a prescribed hotel. The police came to investigate secretly outside the hotel. They targeted a strong man with a gun, but unexpectedly he was emptied. They would be surprised that the 90-year-old man was the real suspect. In the morning, Earl ran into the anti-drug police in the restaurant. He saw that scene last night. He knew that the police in front of him were there to arrest him, but the old man was warm-hearted. He heard the police missed his wedding anniversary, so he advised the police to put family first. Don't follow my footsteps and do what I did. Family's the most important thing. Works fine if it's in the second position. Earl received a call from his granddaughter on the way. His ex-wife was seriously ill and was hospitalized soon. Granddaughter hoped Grandpa can put down his work, and came to accompany Grandma through this time. Earl was now in a dilemma. If he went with his ex-wife, he would die. But he couldn't bear to disappoint his family. In the end, Earl chose to go home. The ex-wife was surprised by Earl's arrival. This was also the first time Earl entered the house in more than 10 years. The ex-wife sighed. Earl's mission seemed to be running around and ahead of the family. But he never remembered that there were relatives at home who needed to be taken care of. Earl was deeply sorry. He thought he was an outcast and being a man was more important than being a loser at home. He had missed so much in these years. But anyway, he was back now. When the daughter heard her father's regret, she forgave him. Earl admitted to his daughter that he was a terrible father, but the daughter said that her father was a late bloomer. The ex-wife was also very happy that her husband took care of her at the last moment. On the other side, the police were waiting at the delivery location. But they never waited for Earl to deliver the goods. They monitored that the drug cartel was also looking for Earl. The next day, Earl planned to continue to deliver goods after attending his wife's funeral. But when he was halfway there, he was stopped by a drug dealer. When the drug dealer learned that Earl was late because of his wife's death, he was touched. But the cold-blooded new boss didn't care so much. He ordered his men to kill Earl when Earl delivered the goods. At this time, the police locked Earl through monitoring the call. They immediately dispatched all police and blocked Earl on the highway. Seeing this old man who had talked with him about life, the police felt unbelievable. Earl felt sorry for the police who caught him and missed the wedding anniversary. He told the police to remember the time spent with his family. Compared with family, other things were not important. In the court, the lawyer defended Earl righteously. She claimed that the old man had fought for his family. Now because of the grief of old age, he was used by criminals. Having said that, Earl blocked the lawyer and pleaded guilty. Before going to prison, Earl told his family, "I could buy anything, but I couldn't buy time." After going to prison, Earl became a gardener in prison. Not only did he grow flowers by himself, but he also led other prisoners to plant flowers in the prison. The movie ends here. The film is adapted from real events. The difference is that, in reality, Earl has been a drug dealer for 10 years. With each trip, he can earn $2 million. From this, he has also become a legend circulated among local drug dealers. After Earl was arrested, the anti-drug agent accepted an interview with the New York Times. As a result, Earl became famous overnight and was even invited to the White House to cultivate a garden. In reality, Earl was sentenced to 3 years. After all, he was not young anymore. Well, this movie ends. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time.